What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about my biggest problems with Scream 2022 and how I would fix it. I thought this would be the right time to do this. Obviously, it's several weeks out. A lot of people, the majority, I think, of at least the commenters and the viewers here on YouTube have seen the movie, and I also don't want to make this just a complaining to complain. Look, I have nothing wrong with if you love the movie, if you hate the movie. I really think this is a channel for you. I don't mind disagreements whatsoever, which I don't think you can say about a lot of channels on YouTube, Scream or otherwise, right? But what I do want to say is, if I do have problems with it, is there something I can kind of add to that, right? It's been something that I've tried to even work on with myself. I don't want to just hate to hate or not like something but not really have a solution. So I'm going to do my best to try to do that throughout this video, okay, with the biggest issues that I have. By the way, I did overall enjoy the movie. This is like the first video you're watching. This may give you the wrong idea. I've made like 100 Scream videos. I did a review where I think I was very clear of the stuff that I did like and didn't like, and I also expressed that in many other videos, okay? So let me just kind of go through this as well. Obviously contain, massive spoilers. The first thing I want to talk about is one of the biggest problems, maybe the biggest problem, is the movie moved too fast and no time to breathe, I guess, or there are two different ways of saying the same thing, right? Now, and I've talked about this before, I've actually said this in live streams and other places, I think there's actually some benefit to the movie moving fast, right? You really, in my opinion, you felt like you were in it the entire way. I mean, I never once checked my phone. Obviously, maybe it depends on the person, and I'm not going to check my phone anyway during a Scream movie, right? But the movie, I think, really does keep you in. There's very little downtime, and in the downtime, there's still kind of rushing, so you're always moving forward in this film. So again, there's even ways of spinning this as a positive, but I do look at it as a negative because I think what happened because of that, right, was you didn't have enough time with these characters like Liv, who I did think was actually really solid. I don't think I have any issues with her other than she's in like 4 scenes, right? Wes, I liked, but he's very little in it. Amber, I actually don't mind her. I specifically don't mind her at all as Ghostface. Now, as Amber, the normal person, she's in it, again, like 2 or 3 scenes. So you don't have enough time to breathe with these characters. So what's my response to that? What's my easy fix to it? Well, you should have made the movie longer. Now, and by the way, all of these things are obviously very easy to say out loud and probably a lot harder to implement it, okay? I'm not saying like I'm a filmmaker and I could have done it better, but I mean, if you just added to the movie. Now, we've actually talked about that script leak, right? There was the original, the first draft of this movie. I made an entire video about it, and you can read it, and I linked it in that video as well, and in that script, they actually do give it more time to breathe. They develop a relationship between Tara and Amber. You have more scenes with Amber in general. She's a lot better, I think, of a character. They extend some stuff. Now, some things also are just completely changed. Wes's death is completely different. Vince's death is completely different. Vince is added on to, so there's a little bit more. So, honestly, they kind of did this. The biggest problem in this movie, in my opinion, that affects so many different things, right? Okay, because it affects character development. That's really the biggest impact that having the movie go too fast really hurts, as any of these characters having, or I guess making these characters not have enough time to shine, right? So the easy way to fix it would just be add more, and they actually did do that, and then they cut from that. So that's, it kind of sucks that way, but that's something I did want to mention right now. Another thing, this is more of a nitpick. Now, I guess what's controversial about this is I'm not gonna say a big issue with me was Amber killing Dewey, okay? Again, to nitpick, my issue was kind of how they handled that overall scene. I do think it actually could have been longer with the fight. I do find it funny, and people did mention this, like when Dewey does the multiple shots and Ghostface flees, or Amber flees, and he runs to get Richie, it's like, did you forget that Ghostface was still there? Because then Ghostface jumps through the glass, right, and attacks him. It's like, well, did you, shouldn't you have gone chasing after them? Which, by the way, in the trailer, it made it look like that was going to happen. It made it look like there was more hallways that would be involved, right? It'd be more of like almost like a Western showdown kind of. Honestly, that's kind of what it made it look out, which is fine. That there was a little misdirect, but I would have liked to seen that. And also, in terms of the death itself, I'm a little upset that Dewey didn't just stay there instead of taking Richie to the elevator with Sam. Now, I guess I can follow along and understand, what they were trying to do. And by the way, I'm not saying you don't have the phone call happen and Dewey sees Gale. I actually think that's fine, but I just don't understand why somebody like him, who I wouldn't necessarily say paranoid, but more like he knows the rules, he knows the lessons, he remembers all this stuff, he's very aware. He is a goofball throughout the films in general, but in this movie, like he's definitely more, I would say, straightforward. Like when Amber goes into the glass thing and falls down, like why wouldn't you just pull out your gun and aim right then and there? You could still have had everything happen. Sam could have been picking up Richie, going to the elevator. Dewey could have had the gun, and maybe he even looks at them, and that's what distracts him, and then Amber attacks. So I mean, I do think there were just other ways of handling that overall. Another big problem, I think, with the movie, the more I think about it, was not necessarily no chase scenes, although that is definitely a part of it, but the deaths being too similar. Now, I actually was a fan of the brutality of the attacks and of the deaths. I think that the Tara opening scene was actually very, very, like, it hurt. It hurt me to see her literally get destroyed. You know what I mean? There is something kind of special to, like, Vince just being, like, one and done. One stab through the neck and it's over. There is something to that, okay? And they did, for their credit, I guess, try different things, right? Like, Wes was a lot more built on tension. Judy was almost kind of like a jump scare. I mean, I think we all knew Ghostface would just come out and stab her. But, so they did try to do a little something different here and there. Obviously, Dewey's death was kind of like a finishing kill kind of thing, right? But I would say the fact of the matter is there were no chase scenes. There were no very extended battles, really. Dewey's fight was the longest battle you had in the entire, even like Sydney blocked and like flipped and flipped Amber over, and then she fell off. So like that didn't even last all that long. Dewey's was, I believe, the longest. I guess Tara was the longest sequence in all, right? But just a little bit of mixing it up. I think they fell into the trap of going a little too, they talked about it, elevated, right? Because they're making fun of the genre, or they're referencing the genre, but they're also doing it themselves, and you can sometimes get yourself caught up in that, right? Because I think they're going too much into that. I think they kind of forgot in that way what makes the Scream deaths and chases and all that stuff, what makes them special, and they did just kind of go for, in my opinion, it was more modern horror, right? I think they were trying to reflect more modern horror when that's not really how Scream is. I want to do one small one and then probably talk about my last big one with this film as well. And by the way, I'm sure I'm going to miss stuff, and maybe I can do more of these videos in the future if you guys want me to. One thing is the party. I didn't like how sped up that was. I guess you could also argue with like Wes's death leading to the party. I understand why they introduced a character just to kill him off and to do the for Wes thing. Like, I get that, but I'm also slightly disappointed with it. And then the party, I mean, it happened like 24 hours after his death, happened very, very quickly. There was no mention of it whatsoever. You know what I mean? So it just felt very rushed. I don't think like Stu's house and all that stuff. Now, obviously, they built it. It was all on set. What you would do to fix that, I'm not actually, I mean, I guess you would just film at a location, right? But the party, and again, how you fix the party stuff is, again, just give it a little bit more time. There were some sequences in that party, like with Mindy and Liv and stuff that was good, and that stuff, and even Mindy and Amber, those things were necessary. You know what I mean? And I think you just needed kind of more of that throughout the last 30 or so minutes of the movie, and you would have been okay. But I guess the big thing I want to focus on is Sam. And again, I don't twist my words. Don't put words into my mouth. I'm not saying I don't like Melissa Barrera. I'm not saying that Sam was a horrible character. I think she was just very average. I think Melissa Barrera as an actress is pretty average, and I think Sam is pretty average as a character. That's not horrible, but I will say, in terms of mistakes that the movie made or problems I had with the movie, I do think having your final girl, your lead, being not just outshined by Tara, and I've said this, and this is just my opinion, right? I think Tara's the better character. I think Jenna Ortega is the better actress, but if you don't agree, that's okay. But I think she was outshined by her, but not just her. I think she was outshined by a couple other characters, and that, you know what I mean? It's like, well, it's one thing because they're kind of final girl duo, right? It's supposed to be both of them. So if one is a little bit more well-liked than the other, that's fine. Yeah, but that's not exactly how it was. The opening scene was awesome, and Jenna Ortega did great. And then the hospital scene, when Sam has to explain about Billy, Tara was the better character in that scene. She just sold it more, you know what I mean? So, I mean, how you fix that, you could actually just ignore it because maybe that was the goal. Maybe the goal is secretly to get people really rooting for Tara because there's plans in place, right? That could be an idea. And again, the Sam thing, to be honest with you, this is the only one that I don't have the grade. I mean, maybe you could say like recast her, but that's kind of harsh. That's kind of mean. I just think, I don't really know. I felt like she did have time to breathe. I feel like with her, it was just a little bit more about her delivery of things and maybe her lines. Those were probably the two weakest aspects of it, because I do think as the movie went on, she did get better. Now, some people have made the point that maybe it was designed that way on purpose, where she's supposed to be more closed, where she's not going to really like say these things or express these things. So maybe she is more, not like monotone, but she's more expressionless, right? And then she kind of gets there throughout the movie. I mean, if that's the case, I guess, but also, I guess the problem is just Tara was too good too fast. So when you make Sam take so long to be good, you know what I mean? You've already made Tara the favorite. And then Sam doesn't get good until like halfway or more than halfway through the movie. So I don't really know what you should do there. You maybe shift things. Maybe you make Tara less good and you make Sam more good faster. I just think you open Sam up a little bit faster, just kind of the line delivery that she does. I think you just kind of improve that. That's what I would really say. Again, I do think as the movie went on, specifically the final act, I thought Sam was very, very good, and they gave me a lot of hope and potential, I think, for her in the future. I am not, this is my last thing I'll say, and this is also going to be kind of controversial. I won't pick on the killers or even the motive. I know that could be a very, very big problem to a lot of people. I do think it was timely in a way, the idea of like that. Now, I'm not a big fan of the idea of the toxic fandoms. If they're labeling people that didn't like The Last Jedi, they're toxic fans, and they're basically saying they could become murderers. If that's what they're saying, then that is the worst thing you could ever say, right? But I will say, I believe the way I interpreted the film, the way they went about it, even the way Amber and Richie were talking at the end, I don't think that's necessarily what they were going for. I think it's just in Scream way that there are these people. There are toxic fans. Those definitely do exist. And these two are nut jobs. They found each other, much like Mickey and Mrs. Loomis, right? Like, these things can happen, and then they just kind of spin out of control, or they spin into this master plan. So, could the motive have been better? 100%. 100%. But I don't think it's the biggest, weakness. I actually really liked Richie in general, so I thought he was fine. And Amber, again, I think the biggest thing with Amber is people are getting hung up on her killing Dewey, which is fine. I don't blame people. And also that she wasn't in the movie as her normal Amber self. So I think, again, how you fix the killers is honestly just give Amber more time. If you give Amber more time, I think she's a little bit more, reasonable or more likable. If the thing is I don't like the killer that kills Dewey should be the best Ghostface killer ever created. If that's what you want, I get that. I completely understand where you're coming from, but nobody's gonna beat Billy and Stu. Not a single one. They're never gonna be beaten. So I just don't really know what you could do, in that situation, unless I guess you could keep Dewey alive, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up. If you want to follow me anywhere else, all my social media is in the description below, along with my Patreon and YouTube memberships if you guys want to support us there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.